Number 16. So, and the book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Right. So, and it's about being decisive. Being decisive totally means that you know what to do at least, and you are not baffled by the opportunities or anything. So, yes, successful people decide and then pursue their goals with a singularity of purpose. The value of decisions depend upon the courage required to render them. Procrastination is symptomatic of indecisiveness. Okay. Step 16. Be decisive. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly. If and when they were changed to the contrary. Analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure disclosed the fact that lack of decision was near ahead of the list of the 30 major causes of failure. People who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly and of changing these decisions quickly and often. Procrastination, the opposite of decision. Okay. Procrastination is opposite of decision. The common enemy that practically everybody must conquer. Definiteness of decision always require courage, sometimes very great courage. People who reach a definite decision to procure the particular job and make life pay the price they ask do not stake their life on that decision. They stake their economic freedom on that decision. Financial independence, riches, desirable business and professional positions are within reach of those who expect, plan and demand these things. The person who desires riches in the same spirit that Samuel Adams desired freedom from for the colonies is sure to accumulate wealth. How to become more decisive? Ready, be ready, aim and fire. Most people have no trouble with the first two steps. Okay, it is that third and final step that trips them up on their path to success. They can't pull the trigger. They suffer from paralysis by analysis. Okay, paralysis from analysis. To become more decisive, try one or more of the following techniques. Commit to a decision date. Write down the date and time by which you must make the decision and post it where you can see it on a daily basis. Consider the cost of inaction. Instead of focusing on what you stand to lose if you make a certain decision, consider what you stand to lose if you fail to act. Okay. Write down all possible decisions. When you have a list of decisions from which to choose, making the choice is easier. Limit your research. Determine what you need to know and to know to make a well-informed decision and obtain only that information. You want to base your decision on fact, but it is very easy to get caught up in never-ending research. Paralysis by analysis. Get caught up in never-ending research. Determine what you need to know to make well-informed decision and obtain only that information. You want to base your decision on facts, but it is very easy to get caught up in never ending research. You want to base your decision on facts, okay, but it is very easy to get caught up in never ending research. Paralysis by analysis. Consult your mastermind group. Individuals who are committed to your best interest may offer viewpoints and additional information that clarify your options. Trust your gut. Your gut feeling is the subconscious mind at work trying to forge the path to what you desire. Do not allow your conscious mind to convince your subconscious of the impossibility of a certain idea or plan. Remember that the right choice is not always the perfect choice. By its very nature, a decision requires you to give up something, the pursuit of the other options, to get what you choose. Knowing that you are at fork in the road are at a fork in the road and can't travel down both paths may be all the impetus you need to make a choice. Okay. All right. Decide in steps. If possible, make your decision one step at a time. Making a series of smaller decisions may seem less overwhelming than making one big decision. Make decisiveness a habit. When presented with even the smallest of choices, such as where to dine or what a movie to watch, be decisive. Say what you want, desire, before differing to someone else or several people in your group. For example, if someone asks where to eat, do not say anything is fine or I am fine with whatever you decide. Instead, say something like I have a taste for Greek food, but I am open to hearing other suggestions. Make decisiveness a habit, and you will soon become much better at pulling the trigger when facing bigger decisions. Tuning out the naysayers. Okay. Share your ideas and plans only with the members of your mastermind group. And be certain when assembling this group to choose only those who fully support you and are committed to working in your best interest. If you share your ideas and plans with people outside of your mastermind group, you place your success at risk in two ways. Okay, someone may take your idea or execute your plan before you have a chance to. Every person with whom you associate is, like yourself, seeking the opportunity to accumulate money. Upon hearing your idea or plan, someone may utter a comment or opinion, perhaps jokingly, that triggers doubt and negative self talk, which can easily impress itself on your subconscious mind and weaken your desire and enthusiasm. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient are generally easily influenced by opinions of others. I got it. If you are influenced by the opinions of others when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking, much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. If you are influenced by the opinions of others when you reach decisions, if you are influenced by the opinions of others when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking, much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. Keep your eyes and ears wide open and mouth closed. If you wish to acquire the habit of prompt decision, those who talk too much do little less. Else, if you talk more than you listen, you not only deprive yourself of many opportunities to accumulate useful knowledge, but you also disclose your plans and purpose to people who will take great delight in defeating you because they envy you. You have a brain and mind of your own. Use it and reach your own decision. If you need facts or information from other people to enable you to reach decisions, as you probably will in many instances, acquire these facts or secure the information you need quietly without disclosing your purpose. Let one of your first decisions be to keep a closed mouth and open ears and eyes. Let one of your first decisions be to keep a closed mouth and open ears and eyes. is much better. Reach decisions you will not in any undertaking, much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. Keep your eyes and ears wide open and your mouth closed if you wish to acquire the habit of prompt decision. Those who talk listen to be okay. As a reminder to yourself to follow this advice, copy the following epigram in large letters and place it where you will see it daily. Show it before you tell it. Stories of decisiveness. Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know that what they want and generally get it. Those who reason promptly definitely know what they want and generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That is the major reason why they are leaders. The world has the habit of making room for people though whose words and actions show that they know where they are going, as illustrated in the success stories. The decisive and obstinate Henry Ford. One of the Henry Ford's most outstanding qualities was his habit of the reaching decisions quickly and definitely and changing them slowly, of being obstinate. It was this quality that prompted Mr. Ford to continue to manufacture his famous Model T when all of his advisors and many of the purchasers of the car were urging him to change it. Perhaps Mr. Ford delayed too long in making the change, but the other side of the story is that Mr. Ford's firmness of decisions yielded a huge fortune before the change in model became necessary. There is but little doubt that Mr. Ford's habit of definiteness of decisions assumed the proportion of obstinacy, but this quality is preferable to slowness in reaching decisions and quickness in changing them. ही बातों में The value of decisions depends upon the courage required to render them. The value of decisions depends upon the courage required to render them. The great decisions which served as the foundation of civilization were great risks which served as the foundation of civilization were reached by assuming great risks, which often meant the possibility of death. The value of decisions depend upon the courage required to render them. Lincoln's decision to issue his famous proclamation of emancipation, which gave freedom to the enslaved people of America, was rendered with full understanding that his act would turn thousands of friends and political supporters against him. Against him. He knew too that the carrying out of that proclamation would mean death to thousands of men on the battlefield. In the end, it cost Lincoln his life. That required courage. So Carret's decision to drink the cup of poison rather than compromise in his personal belief was a decision of courage. बातों ही बातों में So we were battlefield. In the end, it cost Lincoln his life. That required courage. So Carrot's decision to drink the cup of poison rather than compromise in his personal belief was a decision of courage. It turned time ahead a thousand years and gave to people then unborn. What? Ahead of a thousand years and gave to people then unborn the right to freedom of thought and of speech. When he came to the parting of the way with the Union and took up the cause of the South was a decision of courage, for he well knew that it might cost him his own life, that it would surely cost the lives of others. Yet the greatest decision of all time, as far as any American citizen is concerned, was reached in Philadelphia July 4, 1776, when 56 men signed their names to a document which they well knew would bring freedom to all Americans or leave every one of the 56 hanging from a gallows would bring freedom to all Americans or leave everyone. Okay, you have heard of this famous document, but you may not have drawn from it the great lesson in personal achievement it so plainly taught. We all remember the date of the this momentous decision, but few of us realize that what courage that decision required. We remember our history if as it was taught. We remember dates and the names of the men who fought. We remember Valley Forge and Yorktown. We remember George Washington and Lord Cornwallis, but we know little of the real forces back of these names, dates, and places. We know still less of that intangible power which ensured us freedom long before Washington's armies reached Yorktown. Read the history of the Revolution and falsely imagined that George Washington was the father of our country, that it was he who won our freedom, while the truth is Washington was only an accessory after the fact, because victory of for his armies had been ensured long before Lord Cornwallis surrendered. This is not intended to rob Washington of any of the glory he so richly merited. Its purpose rather is to give greater attention to the astounding power that was the real cause of this victory. It is nothing short of tragedy that the writers of history have missed entirely, even the slightest reference to the irresistible power which gave birth and freedom to the nation destined to set up a new standards of independence for all peoples of the earth. I say it is a tragedy because it is the exact power, because it is the self same power that must be used by every individual who surmounts the difficulties of life and forces life to pay the price asked. Let us briefly review the events that gave birth to this power. The story begins with an incident in Boston. March 5, 1770, British soldiers were patrolling the streets by their presence, openly threatening the citizens. The colonists resented armed men marching in their midst. They began to express their resentment openly, hurling stones as well as epithets at the marching soldiers, until the commanding officer gave orders, fix bayonets, charge. The battle was won. It resulted in the death and injury of many. The incident aroused such resentment that the provincial assembly, made up of prominent colonists, called a meeting for the purpose of taking definite action. Two of The members of that assembly were John Hancock and Samuel Adams. Long live their names. They spoke up courageously and declared that a move must be made to eject all British soldiers from Boston. Remember this, a decision in the minds of two men might properly be called the beginning of the freedom that we of the United States now enjoy. Remember too that the decision of these two men called for faith and courage because it was dangerous. Before the assembly adjourned, Samuel Adams was appointed to call on the governor of the province, Hutchinson, and demand the withdrawal of British troops. The request was granted. The troops were removed from Boston, but the incident was not closed. It had caused a situation destined to change the entire trend of civilization. Strange it is not. The request was granted. The troops were removed from Boston. Okay. Was not closed. It has caused a situation destined to change the entire trend of civilization. Strange it is not how the great changes, such as the American Revolution and many wars, often have their beginnings in circumstances which seem unimportant. It is interesting also to observe that these important changes unusually begin in the form of a definite decision in the minds of a relative smaller number of people. Few of us know the history of our country well enough to realize that John Hancock, Samuel Adams, and Richard Henry of the province of Virginia were the real fathers of our country. Richard Henry Lee became an important factor in this story by reason of the fact that he and Samuel Adams communicated frequently by correspondence, sharing freely their fears and their hopes concerning the welfare of the people of their provinces. From this practice, Adams conceived the idea that a mutual exchange of letters between the 13 colonies might help to bring about the coordination of efforts so badly needed in connection with the solution of their problems. 2 years after the clash with the soldiers in Boston, March 1772, Adams presented this idea to the Assembly in the form of a motion that correspondence committee be established among the colonies. We definitely appointed correspondents in each colony for the purpose of friendly cooperation for the betterment of the colonies of British America. Mark well this incident. It was the beginning of the organization of the far flung power destined to give freedom to you and me. The mastermind had already been organized. It consisted of Adams, Lee, and Hancock. The committee of correspondence was organized. Observe that this move provided the way for increasing the power of the mastermind by adding to it men from all the colonies. Take notice that this procedure constituted the first organized planning of the disgruntled grunt-led colonists. Colonist. In union, there is strength. The citizens of the colonies had been waging disorganized warfare against the British soldiers through incidents similar to the Boston riot, but nothing of benefit had been accomplished. Their individual grievances had not been consolidated under one mastermind. No group of individuals had put their hearts, minds, souls, and bodies together in one definite decision to settle their difficulty with the British once and for all, until Adams, Hancock, and Lee got together. Meanwhile, the British were not idle. They too were doing some planning and masterminding on their own account. With the advantage of having money and organized soldiery, The Crown appointed Gage to supplant Hutchinson as the governor of Massachusetts. One of the new governor's first acts was to send a messenger to call on Samuel Adams for the purpose of endeavoring to stop his opposition by fear. One of the new governor's first acts was to send a messenger to call on Samuel Adams by the purpose of endeavoring to stop his opposition by fear. We can best understand the spirit of what happened by quoting the conversation between Col Fenton, the messenger sent by Gage and Adams. Colonel Fenton presented the carrot and the stick. I have been authorized by Governor Gage to assure you, Mr. Adams, that the governor had been empowered to confer upon you such benefits as would be satisfactory, carrot, upon the condition that you engage to cease in your opposition to the measures of the government. It is the government's advice to you, sir, not to incur the further displeasure of His Majesty. Your conduct has been such as makes you liable to penalties of an Act of Henry VIII, by which persons can be sent to England for trial for treason or misprision of treason at the discretion of a governor of a province. Stick. But by changing your political course, you will not only receive great personal advantages, but you will make your peace with the king. Samuel Adams had the choice of two decisions. He could seize his opposition and receive personal bribes, or he could continue and run the risk of being hanged. Clearly, the time had come when Adams was forced to reach instantly a decision that could have cost his life. The majority of people would have found it difficult to reach such a decision. The majority would have sent back an evasive reply, but not Adams. He insisted upon Colonel Fenton's word of honor that the colonel would deliver to the governor the answer exactly as Adams would give it to him. Adams answered, "Then you may tell Governor Gage that I trust I have long since made my peace with the kings of kings. No personal consideration shall induce me to abandon the righteous cause of my country. And tell Governor Gage, it is the advice of Samuel Adams to him, no longer to insult the feelings of an exasperated people. Comment as to the character of this man seems unnecessary." Okay. And tell Governor Gage it is the advice of Samuel Adams to him, no longer to insult the feelings of an exasperated people. I trust I have long since made my peace with the King of Kings. No personal consideration shall induce me to abandon the righteous cause of my country. And tell Governor Gage it is the advice of Samuel Adams to him, no longer to insult the feelings of an exasperated people. Comment as to the character of this man seems unnecessary. It must be obvious to all who read this astounding message that its sender possesses loyalty of the highest order. This is important. Racketeers and dishonest politicians have prostituted the honor for which such men as Adams died. When Governor Gage received Adams' caustic reply, he flew into rage and issued a proclamation which read, "I do hereby, in His Majesty's name, offer and promise His most gracious pardon to all persons who shall forthwith lay down their arms and returns to the duties of peaceable subjects, expecting only from the benefits of such pardon Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whose offences are of too flagitious a nature to admit of any other consideration but that of condemning punishment." What? Hmm. accepting only from the benefits of such pardons Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whose offenses are of too flagitious. What do you understand by flagitious? What do you understand by the word flagitious?
Flagitious is a formal word that means extremely wicked or deeply criminal.
Hello. Hello. What did he say? What did you say? What did you say? What did you say?
I said that flagitious is a formal word that means extremely wicked or deeply criminal. It's used to describe actions
And what do
or
you mean
people.
by wigged?
Wicked means evil or morally wrong. It's a strong word to describe behavior or
And what do
intentions
you
that
mean
are.
by witty?
Wicked means evil or morally wrong.
Witty.
It's.
What do you mean by witty?
Could you please spell that word for me?
W
It's a bit.
Witty.
Witty means full of clever or amusing humor, showing quick perception and expression. So, a witty person is someone who makes clever and funny remarks. Does that make sense?
Yup. So, and what do you understand by condign?
The word condign means appropriate or deserved, usually in a context of punishment or retribution. It implies that the consequence is fitting for the action taken. Does that
So,
make
if
sense?
someone says that Hancock, whose offenses are of too flagitious a nature to admit of any other consideration but that of condign punishment. What do you understand by this?
That statement means that Hancock's offenses are considered so terribly wicked or criminal, flagitious, that the only acceptable or deserved consequence is appropriate punishment, condign punishment. There's no room for any other considerations, like mercy or anything else. Does that make the
So, what
sentence
do you
clearer?
understand by condign?
Condign means appropriate or deserved. It's typically used in relation to punishment or retribution, suggesting.
As Hancock, whose offenses are of too flagitious a nature to admit of any other consideration but that of condign punishment. As one might say in modern slang, Adams and Hancock were on the spot. The threat of the irate governor forced the two men to reach another decision equally as dangerous. They hurriedly called a secret meeting in their staunchest follower. Here the mastermind began to take on momentum. After the meeting had been called to order, Adams locked the door, placed the key in his pocket, and informed all present that it was imperative that a congress of the colonists be organized, and was no man should leave the room until the decision for such a congress has been reached. Congress. Great excitement followed. Some weighed the possible consequences of such radicalism. Great excitement followed. Some weighed excitement followed. Some weighed the possible consequences of such radicalism. Some expressed grave doubt as to the wisdom of so definite a decision in defiance of the crown. Locked in that room were two men immune to fear, blind to the possibility of failure, Hancock and Adams. Through the influence of their minds, others were induced to agree that through the correspondence committee, arrangements should be made for a meeting of the First Continental Congress to be held in Philadelphia, September 5, 1774. Remember this date, it is very important. It is more important than July 4, 1776. If there had been no decision to hold a Continental Congress, there could have been no signing of the Declaration of Independence before the first meeting of the new Congress. Another leader in a different section of the country was deep in the throes of publishing a summary view of the rights of British America. He was Thomas Jefferson to the province of Virginia, whose relationship to Lord Dunmore, representative of the Crowns in Virginia, was as strained as that of Hancock and Adams with their governor. Shortly after this, shortly after his famous summary of rights was published, Jefferson was informed that he had subject to prosecution for right. सो जा तुम्हें रख लो तुम छुपा के मेरे संग ही कहना